Yeah, it seemed scarier at the time. I hate being scared of stuff. It really irritates me. So in answer to your question, did it cure my fear of heights? No, it 100% didn't. But it reminded me really of what I felt very strongly, that I can be scared of stuff. We do lots of scary stuff, but it shouldn't stop us doing it anyway. So I think it taught me that I can conquer. I can honestly feel my heart rate literally pounding through my chest at the moment, and it's that bloody picture, so I'm going to move us on if I can. So thank you all for being here. It's lovely to look out. Actually, you should look around. You look great. To see you all here and kind of energised and looking for a good day. So I want to reflect really on a little bit of a journey that we've been through. And start with 3 words: consistency, culture, and capability. Those are the 3 things that you asked me to make changes with or through in ONR 3 years ago when I met you. The first really was about having our inspectors work more consistently and proportionally across all of our purposes. You send schisms and silos and not particularly sharing information. You asked me to ensure that we really embedded enabling regulation into our culture so that it was more engaged, more solution-focused, and really a bit more humble about some of the things we didn't know. And thirdly, you really, really were concerned about whether we were recruiting and training enough of the right people to be able to work as a team to change ONR and, frankly, to service the significant demands of the regulatory programme as well as the organisation's change. Now, the good news for me was that I recognised those 3 areas with great gusto, and so did my staff. There was no tension whatsoever between what you asked to be delivered and what my staff wanted to change. So that would be easy, right? I promised you all I would get onto it, and I'm very proud to say that I think, due to the team of my really wonderful human beings in ONR, that we are in a much better place, and I think we've responded with great courage to some really big asks. No matter how high I have set the bar for the ONR team, they have exceeded it. And a funny thing has happened as we've got better. We've also become stronger and more humble about the areas in which we still need to develop. And I would love to see you see today the changes that we have made to be better for you. The problem now is that when I ask you what you want, the ask goes further. You also have raised the bar. Now you want me to lead ONR to do even more to help you deliver clean energy at a lower price, still with the same safety and security issues attached. And I just want to be really clear, because I'm asked this a lot. I have never been asked by any party to even hint at sacrificing ONR's independence of regulatory decision-making. I think we all agree that a strong and independent regulator is as essential to nuclear as water. But we also agree that ONR can and should be more visibly open and proactive to new ways of working and to technological innovation, as well as diversity of thought and people that challenges our status quo. And as you might expect me to say, I believe this starts and ends with our people. But there are cleverer folks who think about this than me. Gartner's view is that the biggest threat to innovation is not technological, but it's about internal politics. It's about not wanting some from the outside, and it's about not wanting change. And I believe it is no place for this kind of organisation in a safety regulator like ONR. So what does it mean for us? Well, here is my clear view. Because innovation starts and ends with humanity's ingenuity and its imagination of a better world for all, I think ONR has to see this as a leadership mindset. How we enable our inspectors to really feel comfortable enough to work with the unknown and help you make it reality. How we instill even greater focus on the costs and burdens of regulations to drive greater efficiency and wider solutions consideration. And how we become even more agile to work across our purposes and divisions with a freedom that shares insight, ingenuity and ideas. And I think it is fair to say that ONR is making pace on this journey and looking forward to even more challenge. Though today's focus is on innovation, we can only respond well if the whole of ONR is aligned and confident enough in itself to make that further change. And that's why we've been so busy. And I'm genuinely proud to summarise our position on this really simply. So if you don't hear anything else in the conference, just hear this. We're on it. The whole ONR team is really chomping at the bit. Last year alone, 1.2 million hours were invested to get all of our jobs done. 30 permissioning activities and determination, over 750 compliance and 55 transport inspections, 9 improvement notices issued, 141,000 different people used our website in 120 countries. And we continue to modernise for the better. So let me up the game. Are we the best regulator in the world? Well, we want to be, and we think we're on it. We're an increasingly modern regulator that's not just open to, but encourages and really welcomes all of the ideas that you can put to us across industry and including the supply chain to help develop our ways of working. We will never drop our standards, but we can and wish to work on different ways of you achieving them. Now, Mark's got the really interesting stuff today. He's going to talk about embracing regulatory innovation and give examples of where we've already started. But to be honest, that meant that I struggled a bit with this speech. It's a little bland. And most of you know that I don't really do bland. How do I make steady as she go exciting? Well, I can tell you, it does feel quite exciting. Most days, and some days it feels rather more exciting than I really want it to be. Because steady as she goes in ONR is not steady as she goes, meaning we're having our feet up on the table, smoking cigars and drinking coffee or golf or whatever we might do for any of those who have this nirvana state of steady as she goes, meaning easy. Our steady as she goes is absolutely with purpose and with pace and with pride to drive us onwards to a really good future. And our strategic intent really, I think, is solid. So now our job is to have a steely focus and to avoid distractions of new and different projects to really focus on those that we're doing well. And I have to say the recent environment has not been particularly kind, but it would be foolish in my view for us to slow our steps, knowing that we may never be able to pick up the pace to deliver the intent of the nuclear sector deal should we do so. Of course, my personal perception is a little biased. You know that I absolutely love this organisation. But it's also what my staff and stakeholders tell me throughout my meetings, throughout my conversations, and throughout the various letters that pop through various LinkedIn and email boxes. And I really obsess about how the teams and how you feel about it is because I really do want ONR to be the best regulator in the world. Sorry, Ramina, I know you're here from Canada. Maybe a joint first. That's the best I'm up for. And to be clear, not for the kudos, not for the awards, but because I really know that we're one of the few organisations on this planet who are capable of it. And I think that you deserve that, but I feel even more strongly that the public demands it in a democratic society. So let me share a little of the evidence that tells me why I think we've done well with the first 3 challenges you set around consistency, culture, and capability. We're a people, as you can tell, so how they feel is really important to me and to the senior team in particular. Now, you'd expect us to feel proud and motivated, but now we're even more so, and we're also more satisfied, and we want more other people to work in ONR. I'm not going to read the numbers because you can. But I think that sense of 3/4 would recommend ONR as a great place to work. I'd like it to be 100. Everybody tells me that's completely unreasonable. I don't care. But you can clearly see that these are good results. But we do have to continue to be open about some of the issues we face with our internal culture. And frankly, a lot of focus has been applied to our leadership, our management, and our support. And we'll have to keep working on that so that staff feel that they can be as entirely open and challenging internally as they are externally with you. My leadership team takes these very seriously, and we know that building and maintaining trust with our teams and you is of equal importance. So we're also particularly interested in the views about our leadership. Now, I should just say here, you've probably gathered, because most of you have met me, I'm not really interested in benchmarking to the average. So our benchmark is set against the upper quartile of organisations. And when you say that, again, I'd really love 100% of people to feel that we're moving in the right direction, to feel that we're taking action on the issues internally identified, and to be visible and accessible. I'd love it to be 100. I'm told it's probably never going to be 100, but it is definitely well up and beyond the upper quartile. And to see some of our leadership scores move in just 3 years from bottom quartile to top decile, I would suggest tells you that this is a leadership team of which I can be proud and which I hope you are too. Our staff are highly engaged, they are more diverse than ever, and they have faith in our leadership and direction. And just to put to bed the concerns about turnover, it's less than 6%, and it has now been for the last 2 years. We are steady and stable as she goes. But of course, staff are paid to feel good about working, right? So what about stakeholders? Well, You don't have a choice about how it regulates you, so it's even more important to me that we know how you feel about it. The big figures on here are the current ones, and the smaller figures are the ones from 2017. So we had pretty good baseline results, I have to say, back in 17. But we targeted 3 particular areas, and I'm really, really pleased that they have all been seen to improve. We've got better at proportionate and consistent regulation. We've got better at avoiding burden, and are seen to be better at being responsive to change. And I want to just pause for a moment and thank you all for your help with this. It is not possible for any organisation to improve and to thrive without the feedback that stings. It's lovely to get great feedback, don't get me wrong, but unless you tell us where we fall short, unless you tell us where we can go further, then we're unlikely to be chasing the right goals. So please continue to be open with us and to say the things that you think we might not wish to hear, as well as those that you know we would love to hear. We will use it to help us develop. And I think given transparency is essential to public confidence, we've also sought to lead by example, really seeking out more diverse voices. And interestingly, one particular set of results within this really changed, and that is with our other community, and that's broadly academics, media and non-government organisations who are largely anti-nuclear. Again, the large numbers are current and the smaller numbers from a year and a half or so ago. To see the change in that community and how they feel about the, if you like, integrity of ONR has been a real proud moment for us. We did not engage as openly as we should with those who perhaps had different voices, and frankly were a little bit difficult. But we don't do it just because it makes us feel good. We do it because it's the right thing to do, even though it's difficult. We do it because it's required under the OECD standards and characteristics, and actually it's a really important part of the UK regulators' code. So this was never a nice to have. This has always been a must-do for public confidence. And I think some raise an eyebrow or two about somewhat enthusiastic engagement with NGOs, and I commend all of us to engage with these organisations, because I think that our difference and our diversity in strategic communications has really changed the sense of the safety and security of this industry through the eyes of the public and its relationship with ONR. It is against a less than positive perception of nuclear in the UK. Now, I like to meet new people. You might know that I've got a fairly eclectic social life. It doesn't include myself jumping off of cliffs very often, but I will do more of that soon. But you know how it is, folk kind of go, what do you do for a living then? And I have that moment where I have to figure out if I tell them the truth or not. So normally I say, I work in nuclear health and safety, and then it goes really quiet, and I literally see the colour drain from people's face. I mean, not only is she in health and safety, it's like nuclear. And then it takes about 5 seconds, and then I pretty much read that what they're saying is, oh, bananas. This is my one night out this month, and I'm talking to a health and safety regulator, and they have all that. Their eyes dart to the door, and they try and find other folk to talk to at the party. And I go, no, it's really, really interesting. This is an amazing place. It's full of super clever people with intelligence and wit. We are interesting. We look at technology that changes the world. My organisation helps make sure that's safe and secure so that you can have food that is warm, and a house that is warm, and an industry that can operate. And then they go, I thought like maybe it would be like a clipboard thing. So I think the passion that we bring to our job is a really important part of how we do it as well. And I have no metric that can capture passion, but I would hope that you can develop your own metric as a result of saying and feeling and just being around some of the team today. Just on that, can I ask all the ONR bods to stand up so everybody else can take a good look at us and decide what they think? Hi, everyone. So you know where to find us. Thank you, guys. We are embedded in every table like spies. We will know what you really said. But I really believe that if we're going to get the best brains working on nuclear and improve public perceptions and acceptance, then we must also believe that industry has to address the perception issue that you have. In the March Bay's public attitudes tracker, still less than 1 in 5 folks had heard of clean growth, and most were concerned actually about rising energy prices. Now, assuming ONR does its job well and keeps us safe and secure, it makes no sense that only 1/3 of people support nuclear, with 45% being men and only 26% of women supporting it. That is not a job for the regulator to resolve, but I do believe that the diversity of thought in the workforce requires you to get the best out of everybody, and I would urge you to address this as a matter of urgency. So I believe innovation extends way beyond the technology and right into the communications engagement that should be at the heart of all of our organisations. Now, on innovation, some have questioned whether ONR is really open to innovation. We are. I mean, genuinely, we are. It's really frustrating when I hear, well, ONR would never go for that. Have you asked us? No, we'd never go for it. I work for ONR? No, they'd never go for it. I'm quite senior ONR? No, they'd never go for it. I'm the chief executive at ONR. Would you mind asking us? Oh, you have this kind of, at least give us the opportunity to disappoint you before imagining that we'll say no. So my question is not whether innovative solutions can be safe, but whether failing to grasp them is actually hazardous. And it's the same question we ask internally. Our track record of achievement is based on learning from other regulators and sectors, and sharing some of those steps in the journey has been amazing. Our governance is absolutely solid, with really strong audit and assurance, as you'd expect, but so much so that we're exporting the way we run our brand new integrated kind of risk and assurance framework. When I say brand new, in ONR terms, it's about 2 years old, and everybody said it couldn't be done. But actually, we have countries all over the world interested in how we do this. So we wish to be an exemplar as an organisation as a whole, not just as a regulator. We've enhanced many of our key regulatory processes with a new enforcement management model based on international good practice, the rollout of a world-acclaimed security assessment principles, which is a true innovation in nuclear regulation, and a pilot of operational feedback from you on inspections and assessments. Some of you have been involved in that already. And that will inform future systematic feedback gathering as and when we work with you to help us improve our operations. We're benefiting from an academy. Some of you who were here last year got stuck into that, drawing learning from leading higher education approaches. And it was only a dream 2 years ago, but within 24 hours, our new platform had 340 folks signed on, with 330 training places taken up by the team. So any sense that ONR is not open to working in new ways that are more efficient and better and just different, I really have to challenge you on any assumption like that. Let's take another example. We've stood up a safeguard system from scratch in record time, doing what a great job of harvesting great practice from across the globe. So much so that even though we haven't gone live yet, because we haven't Brexited, and that is the only mention I'll make of that in this speech, we've had other people coming to see what we will be doing when we set it up live, because we've been able to start from a greenfield site. That is innovation and leadership in action. And a big work in progress, our Wired project, is going to bring, I think, the most strategic change to how we work yet. And where's the Wired team? I know Vic's in a couple of... Stand up, because we really do want to get a good look at you. So these folk here have your future in their hands, people. They've already streamlined 18 ONR processes to 7, because we're not that complicated, really. And they will be available at lunchtime. We've put them next to the lunch so that you can't get round them. They really want to get your advice and support about how we develop our new infrastructure system, our processes and so on. Essentially, if you're interested in how we get more efficient, they're a team to talk to. And this year, a really bright highlight will be our international peer review mission. And I feel a bit like I used to when I worked in a local authority and the CQC or whoever else was coming in. You have that sick feeling that you think you're doing quite a good job, but you're not absolutely sure until the inspectors go. And for us, although it's not an inspection and it is a peer review, you can imagine to have the whole of how the UK operates and delivers the standards of international safety and security. That is a big gig for us. So if we look slightly quieter or slightly more worried than usual in October, it's because we're just really busy. We're not worried, we're just really busy. We'll be having a lie down in late October, so you won't see us till November. And for this, I'm hugely grateful to the senior leadership team of ONR. We are absolutely as one in our focus on helping ONR continue to improve. And it hasn't all been easy. It's been a bit challenging, but we're used to challenge and we're used to pace. And I think we have been mindful of the frustration and disappointment in the sector with the demise of the New Gen and the Horizon new build projects. It would be remiss of me not to mention the hundreds of human beings who went into those organisations and are no longer there. I think we're not sure about what the long-term impact of that is, potentially an ability to attract and retain the calibre of people that we want in this sector. And I assure you that ONR will be doing all that possibly can to help government deliver anything and any future promises in the nuclear sector deal. We will not be on the critical path in any problematic way. So I think we're doing okay, but I would say that, wouldn't I?
A new independent regulator was needed in the UK to rebuild and enhance trust and confidence in the public, the politicians and the investors in the whole nuclear industry. By your behaviours, you drive that much more than people realise.
For me, the change from the Nuclear Installations Inspectorate to the Office for Nuclear Regulation has been a great one. The focus on enabling regulation has meant that we're working together for the good of the safety of the industry, but also delivering the industrial strategy for the UK. And I think ONR are playing a very, very strong role in that.
15 years within ONR, I've seen the organisation change from one which was binary in its approach, adequate versus inadequate, to one that seeks to improve nuclear safety and security through adopting mutual trust and respect between ourselves and the licensees. By adopting this approach, we've been able to provide greater advice and guidance with a view to realising our own regulatory expectations whilst ensuring that the licensee develops real safety and security improvement.
For me, the safe use of nuclear technology for the benefit of society is a goal that both ourselves as a licensee and the regulator share. If we hold that true, what that will do, and what we have seen, is more of a change in our values and behaviours. First and foremost, what I've seen is an increase in humility in both organisations. Humility means the ability to challenge openly, transparently and clearly so we understand what the issues are. I've also seen a shift in solution orientation. That is finding problems, but at the same time identifying solutions and clear paths to solving those problems.
From the outset, it was clear to me that ONR wanted to have a different form of regulation as they became an independent public corporation. And that's been to the great benefit of our mission here at Sellafield. Clearly, the enforcement part of ONR, which is vital to sustain public confidence, is still there, but it's accompanied by engagement and encouragement, which allows us to progress our high hazard and risk reduction mission here at Sellafield. In particular, some of the more difficult choices we've all had to face around high hazard and risk reduction have resulted in progress being made against a background that could be looked at as being a LARP at a site level. This is now enshrined in enabling regulation, which is indeed the cornerstone of modern regulation here in the UK.
I see ONR having a very difficult job to do. It needs a wide range of different specialist skills to blend them together and to tackle new innovative projects at the same time. I think the relationship now between ONR and the NGOs has improved. I think the appointment of 2 members of the NGO community onto the Chief Inspector's Independent Assessment Panel mirrors that, cements that relationship, and I would suggest that we're not always in accord and we get the chance to explore those issues together.
So I think it's important in any organisation to have a variety of people within the organisation. That includes a variety of ages of people, because different people bring different kind of ideas and opinions to their work based on their experiences, you know, in their career and outside of work. So I think that's really important to bring younger people in. I also think that ONR's got a lot of training opportunities for their apprentices and their graduates, so they're looking at kind of developing the organisation in the future as well. So it's really good to have that kind of that younger level of employee as well.
The ONR's commitment to increasing diversity and inclusion is very visible from an industry perspective. What I've seen now is that there are many more people who are representative of a wider diversity in the leadership of the ONR. And what that does is it helps me as an industry player to use ONR as an example of the sorts of things that I want to achieve within my industry.
In the future, I see ONR as an organisation that welcomes and appreciates challenge and operates in an environment of even greater trust with our stakeholders. An organisation that's self-aware and reflects upon how we could be better.
Since the ONR became properly independent public corporation, you've grown significantly in stature, in responsibility and in trust. The transformation has been noted not only in the UK, but around the world, to the point now where the ONR, I think from many points of view, is the world's leading nuclear regulator.
And we didn't make them say any of that. That was genuinely open. There is one particular subset of ONR's team that I haven't introduced yet, and I'd love to do so. Can I ask our board members just to take a stand, if you wouldn't mind, and in true style, just stand up and show everybody who you are?
I'm Kelly Doris. I've been on board now for 3.5 years, and it's been an absolutely fascinating, very rewarding experience to be part of it.
Thank you. Bronwyn?
I've been on board now for 5 a bit years, and so I've seen its journey from fairly early on and become more professional, more outward-looking, and more open to challenge, which is great. I chair the Security Committee, so I'm particularly interested in the way in which we are changing our security regulation to outcome-focused regulation, which I think will not just bring it in line with safety regulation, but actually allow you as duty holders to do your work more cost-effectively and innovatively yourselves.
Thank you. And Bronwyn?
I'm from Hill. I joined around about the same time as Adriènne, I remember.
Yeah.
And I've learned an awful lot from ONR about how to run really good independent regulation. I hope I've given something back, and I've been amazed and sometimes surprised at how much we changed as an organisation, particularly on the people aspects, and I really echo what Adriènne said about getting people diverse change, open-minded, then you're almost all the way there to solving the problem.
Thank you.
Mark McAllister, the new board, so you'll hear more from me later.
Thank you. And a couple of our non-execs can't be with us today, but they wish as well. So, I think that the sense I'd like to, to have you leave with today is that we're doing well, but we know we're not perfect. If I perhaps take a little peek into the future, we have got a fairly full engagement going on in our strategic plan, our strategy for 2020 to 2025. And even that's different, because last time we did, which was the first strategy for ONR, we wrote it, we popped it on the website, we got a small number of comments, most of which were typos, and we didn't engage our staff, let alone you, in it. And that is not how I like to do things. So there'll be a good chance to give it a drubbing today. But I did obviously come with a few thoughts about what the future might look like. We haven't been sitting waiting. And I think, again, it might be no big change of direction with huge new projects, but a consistent and a constant attention to finishing what we've started. We'll emphasise, I think, 5 key areas that are in my mind at the moment, and it'd be great to hear what you say to help us refresh or add to these. I think the first thing that you need to see from ONR is a really responsive and agile regulator that is absolutely obsessed about outcome-focused regulation and demonstrable impact in all of our purposes. The second is about greater attention to the economic impact and costs of our regulation, taking into account not only the nuclear sector deal, but also the nuclear cost driver study and our own economic assessment report, which we produced about 18 months ago. The third thing for me is an even higher appetite for stakeholder feedback to improve ourselves, to be more proactive, engage with those groups who represent the public, but also to build in feedback so that we have a continuous loop on our performance. The fourth thing, probably my favourite, I'll be honest, is about really still having a wonderful team full of amazing human beings, but to work in an even more integrated way across our purposes with shared knowledge, supported by a really good infrastructure that allows us to be more efficient and to work more quickly. And the last thing, which I think is perhaps a continue rather than a change also, to remain, I guess we would say, punch above our weight in colloquial terms, but to be a highly influential voice with UK government and with regulators across the globe, and not just nuclear ones. And as I said earlier, I believe we are an organisation that is capable of great things and will continue on this journey. So just as I summarise, I know that you don't have a choice about who regulates you, and I almost feel guilty. Like I said last year, I'd like you to have a choice and still choose us. But I want you to know that we are not complacent about the fact that we're a monopoly. You do have a choice about how you help us improve and change and really challenge us to take on new ideas with you. I think we've got the required capability, capacity, and culture, and the right leadership mindset to respond to pretty much any change that you throw at us. So seriously, I'd like you to try. We're not only open for business, but we welcome it, and I think innovation is the future in this sector, not just in new build, but right across the purposes, and particularly, I would say, in decommissioning. I know that we're not perfect. I know that we want to be. But I really hope that you are at least a little bit as proud of our journey as I am, and have as much confidence as I do in ONR being the regulator that you deserve and need. I am absolutely determined with the team that we'll keep climbing until we are the best regulator in the world. And as I said earlier, if you take nothing else away, we're on it. Thank you for helping us.